Hi, this is my diversity, equity, and inclusion assignment. This is by Ian Basin. I'm the actual of my group. So this presentation is about Black representation in media, the representation that Black and Latin people have in the media, and how specifically disproportionate representation as lawbreakers in the news. And so the article that I chose, trying to find this evidence objectively. The title is Overrepresentation and Underrepresentation of African Americans and Latinos as Lawbreakers on Television News. Because media is important and it displays and shapes like what you believe. The study hypothesized four things, which are blacks and Latinos will appear as perpetrators at a higher rate compared to whites. The distribution of crime by race on television news will be inconsistent with the distribution of arrests and crime reports by race. Blacks and Latinos will appear as lawbreakers at a higher rate compared to law defenders. However, whites will appear as law defenders at a higher rate compared to lawbreakers. The distribution of law defender roles on television news will be inconsistent with those on employment records. And basically, the way that this experiment took place was he had 10 undergraduate college students and they looked at 5 identical programs to identify what crime was committed, the race of the perpetrator level, and how the officers were portrayed. Basically, what race the officers were as well. So it was found that black people were more likely to be shown in the grip of like a restrained police officer than white people. They were also less likely to be named. Black perpetrators was also less likely to be named than white perpetrators. Blacks were more likely to be shown as perpetrators at 72% than as victims at 47%. As well as some other stats basically showing that black perpetrators were more likely to be shown as perpetrators than the actual number of arrests that are in the crime reports. And this displayed for regular crimes as well as felonies where the disparity was even higher. And Latinos actually had the opposite of this take place, but for white people, they were less likely to be portrayed than in the real arrests. So, in the different results that are shown, black people are overrepresented as lawbreakers and criminals, even dehumanized with how they don't receive names half the time. The article says these factors contribute to ethnic blame discourse. This being when you frame problem behavior committed by ethnic others, in this case minorities, as intergroup conflict and accentuates the harmful effects of the behavior on the in-group, in this case white people. The experimenters believe that ethnic discourse is not does operate, but that it is an outgrowth of the stereotyping process. And I tend to agree with them because media helps shape kind of how stereotypes can be in that case. So I chose a news report by MacIver Institute on Jacob Blake. The article details Jacob Blake's criminal history and attempts to detail why the veneration that he received was unjustified from his prior actions. The article then uses alleged cases and charges that were dropped to try and give context to the shooting and the people involved. It also talks about Jacob Blake's father and tweets that show him to be anti-Semitic. So the article doesn't have a black person as the perpetrator, but it does show how the problems of overrepresenting black people in the media can create narratives such as the one in this article. I'm not condoning any of Jacob Blake's alleged criminal history or if he was right when he was doing them. However, what I'm trying to say is that how black people are seen, that some people can attempt to turn a victim into somehow deserving the unjust and violent act done upon him. The fact that Blake was shot 7 times in the back in front of his 3 kids, despite there being 2 officers present, is what the travesty is. His prior history is separate from these incidents, but that distrust of black people has been established from the prior news programming described in the news article. And the article doesn't discuss whether shooting was right, which is what the outrage was about. Instead, the author attacks the character of Jacob Blake and his father. And that's why it's so important for the media to get this right, because that's how problems such as this can happen, and then you automatically have the distrust. And then that's how, cops get the idea that, well, maybe I do need to just make sure that I act before he acts upon me. And that distrust that's how people lose their lives. So I did want to list the bibliography as well from the 2 articles that I used for this presentation. Thank you for your time.